Hey guys, it's jwho again. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about my actual test day experience of the Step 2 CK exam. And if you saw my video a short while ago about preparing for Step 2, you can find the link below. But I want to talk about my actual real life test day experience. And since I took it a little over a week ago, it's still pretty fresh in my mind. And one of the reasons I really want to make this video is because whenever I ask people about their test days, I feel like people don't give very specific responses or people have forgotten. And I mean, it's a really long exam. I'm sure there's some kind of test day amnesia that goes with it. But I just wanted to let you guys know what to expect during test day. Because I find that really important, and for me, it's actually plays a big part in sort of lowering anxiety levels. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I try to do as much as possible to reduce my anxiety levels on the day of the exam. So, just to begin with, I mean, might be a little less shocking to you guys, especially if you've taken step 1 already. It's pretty much like a 9-hour exam, unfortunately, so it's a little bit longer in step 1. You have an extra section. So in step 1, there are 7 sections with breaks in between if you want to take them, whereas for step 2, there's 8. And so obviously that is important in terms of timing because you still get the same amount of break time. So those of you who ran out of time taking breaks or whatever in step 1, you guys might want to pay a little bit more attention this time around because you have an extra block to do. Whereas those of you guys who finished maybe 30 minutes earlier in step 1, that's awesome. You're probably not going to have any issues with step 2, okay? So things to expect. So again, like I said, there's 8 sections. As you know, there's that tutorial part in the beginning. That's about 15 minutes. You can just skip right through that, but make sure to obviously test your headphones when it prompts you to, and then you'll get an extra 15 minutes. Although it took me maybe 2 or 3 minutes to get my headphones to work correctly, so I think I missed out on maybe 2 or 3 minutes. That did not make a huge difference at all, but it's just something to think about if you're thinking about taking that extra 2 to 3 minute bathroom break. So what I did in terms of timing is a lot of people choose to do 2 blocks together, like the first 2 blocks. I always have a really hard time with it because I either drink too much water for breakfast or something like that. I always need to use the bathroom after that first section. It's actually something I realized when I was taking my MBMEs. So, if you want a better sense of timing, I would highly suggest you to take an MBME or maybe one of the self-assessments and pretend it's the real thing. And I always found myself needing to use the bathroom after the first section every single time. So, I mean, I did. I took a break after the first section and it was totally fine. What I did instead was I did my second and third sections together. And what I mean by that is I didn't go straight into it. I just stayed in the room and I just kind of closed my eyes, tried to relax a little bit, and I did this for maybe 1 minute. So it's way quicker than a bathroom break. But at the same time, it kind of gives you some time to decompress. If you decide to go straight through to the next section, I would not go right away because I think it's really easy to get caught up on some of the questions you had in the previous section. And so I would highly recommend you to just kind of, decompress, look somewhere else, close your eyes, just kind of try to remove yourself from the exam for even a second. I had a friend who doodled a lot actually during her breaks, how they give you the little boards with the markers. So you can doodle, you can do whatever, just try to distance yourself from the test for a second, just to give your brain a little bit of a break, and then you can go back into it. So I did sections 2 and 3 together, and I actually ended up doing sections 7 and 8 together as well. That was not really intentional, it just kind of happened. I just sort of I actually sort of ran out of break time towards the end, and I was so ready to be over the exam, I just went straight through it. I know a lot of people also do 2 blocks together after lunchtime as well, or whenever they decide to take their lunch. I think that's also a really smart idea too, because your lunch is a lot longer than your other breaks, or supposedly longer. And then you can kind of go through 2 of them at a time and just kind of get it out of the way. So speaking about lunch, so when to take lunch. I personally took my lunch after my 5th section, and I thought that was the best idea I could have done because I had considered taking it after my 4th section, but I was like kind of hungry, but not like super starving. But and I felt like I could do one more section before taking lunch, and I really liked that because after I had my lunch, I was really tired, and it was really comforting to know that I only had 3 more sections as opposed to 4. And I know that doesn't sound like a big difference, but when you're like running out of steam, it's like mentally, I don't know, better to think that you only have 3 sections versus 4, or that you're over 50% done. And so I think that really helped me pull through the rest of the day, because you get really tiring. I mean, step 1 and step 2 are such exhausting exams, such long exams, so you just really need to pace yourself, and it's just like so mentally taxing. And so I would try to get through as much as you can before that like longer lunch break if you decide to take one, which I actually absolutely recommend. Um, and I took about 25 minutes, I think, maybe 20 to 25. So it's a little longer than most people, but I just like felt like I really need that time to decompress, and I think I appreciate that in retrospect. And between all of my other sections, so just to kind of organize everything for you guys, so after the first section, I took about like a 3-minute break. I'm just using the bathroom, that's all. You kind of waste like a minute and a half getting checked in and out. As you know, you have to like usually sign something, and they have to usually take one of those sensor things and kind of scan you. So you're going to waste maybe a minute or 2 doing that usually. Just using the bathroom and coming straight back was about 3 minutes for me. Then I did my sections 2 and 3 together. And then I took another 3-minute break and did section 4. I took maybe a 5-minute break because I was getting a little tired. So I just spent some time just like outside and snacking a little bit and drinking some water. And I came back for my 5th section. And then I did the 20 to 25-minute break. And then between sections 5 and 6, I did like about like a 3-minute break again. And then 7, 8, I pretty much didn't have really a break in between. I had maybe, I don't know, 40 seconds of me in the room. And yeah, that was it. So it kind of flies by before you know it, but these are just things that you should expect going in, and maybe even think a little bit about like how you want to plan your strategy, just because that kind of helps me, I don't know, it makes me more comfortable for some reason. And also having a backup plan. For example, you know, if you want to do the first 2 sections together, and for some reason that day you need to use the bathroom or whatever, like think of a backup plan. Like what else are you going to do? So you're not like freaking out and and being scared of running out of time or something like that. Because from what I've heard, I think in general people have a hard time with timing on step 2 because the question stems are a lot longer. As you probably remember, if you finish the section early, that time gets added to your overall time. So it gets added to your break time. And I know a lot of people use that for step 1. For step 2, it's just, you're going to probably be a lot closer to time than you've ever been. For me, like whenever I did UWorld or NBMEs, I always finished maybe like 10 to 15 minutes earlier. But on the real exam, I finished maybe a minute, maybe a couple minutes earlier, so definitely cut it a lot closer in the real exam. So you're probably not gonna be able to rely on that all too much. And What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, and don't forget to bring your scheduling permit and your ID. Something really small, but I found really helped me was, I think this is easier for female and you're wearing leggings, but try not to wear things with too many pockets like um, or like hoods. So I just wore like a plain t-shirt. I brought a sweater, which I actually left in the room for the most part, and I wore leggings. And I basically just didn't have pockets. And checking in and out was just so easy because they didn't have to check anything. It was just like, oh, you don't have anything. Here, we'll just scan you really quick and you can go straight in. So I thought that was great just because it just really facilitated those transitions much better than it would have been had I had like I think a billion pockets that they would have to have me turn inside out and stuff like that. So just very minor things. Obviously, do whatever is comfortable for you, but for me, that just made the experience a whole lot better. Um, and I think that's about it. Oh, yes. So, in terms of snacks and stuff, yeah, bring bars. I brought a ton of bars. I brought those like fruit and nut bars from like Costco and the Nature Valley oats and honey bars. Those were good. And I also brought water. I had coffee a little early in the morning because I drank like a couple sips of it because just for the caffeine. But I actually ended up leaving in my car because I don't know about you guys, but I pee a lot more when I drink coffee. And peeing is like your worst nightmare during step 2. So I decided that I was not going to drink any more coffee, so I just left it in my car. And yeah, so I hope this was a little helpful. Whenever I ask people about their step 2 experience or how they took breaks, I feel like nobody remembered or everyone gave you really vague answers. So I hope that this kind of gives you a sense of how the test is laid out and potentially one way you can take your breaks. Obviously, do whatever works for you. I think this is just one of those reminders that you do have an extra section this time and you do have the same amount of time you have for step 1. So just kind of keep that in mind and try to work it out to see whichever format makes you the most comfortable, okay? All right, so that's about it. Remember to subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you found this video helpful. And be sure to watch my other videos coming up soon. All right, thanks you guys. Bye. Good luck. You'll do great.